Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I am Dr. Jayashree. I am an infertility specialist in World Infertility and IVF Center, Lajpat Nagar. As we had already told you, today we will be speaking about recurrent implantation failure. So, first of all, let's start. What is recurrent implantation failure? इसकी बहुत सारी definitions हैं. There are many definitions, but what usually is taken by the clinicians is if there is more than 3 IVF failures with more than 4 good embryos जो हमने transfer करे हों and in age of less than 40 years, तो हम ये मान के चलते हैं कि भाई प्रेगनेंसी नहीं चिपक रही है, नहीं आ रही है, रिकरेंटली इम्प्लांटेशन फेलियर हो रहा है कि इतने अच्छे भ्रूण डालने के बाद भी सफलता नहीं मिल रही है. तो एक आईवीएफ में तो इसको नहीं मानना चाहिए, मगर यस, इवन बुक सेज इफ इट इज मोर देन 3 to 4 cycles, then you are a person of recurrent implantation failure. More or less, recurrent implantation failures pathology is very much like recurrent pregnancy loss. The ultimate it has to be between 3 things. First of all, embryo, जो बच्चा या भ्रूण हम डालते हैं. Second, जिस जगह डालते हैं, तो गर्भ, यूट्रस, एंडोमेट्रियल लाइनिंग. एंड थर्ड, all the surrounding factors. And some people say that it could be because of male and female, like mother and father. So sperm also has a very important role in recurrent implantation failure. First of all, let's start with embryo. Although in IVF we make embryos, and earlier we used to transfer on day 3, but now most good centers like ours, we transfer day 5 embryos. So a day 5 embryo is actually a blastocyst and it has grown up to 5 days. So we test the quality of embryos, what is the capability of those particular embryos to grow till day 5. So we transfer day 5 embryos. But then also sometimes the pregnancy is not there. Why? Because there are, in embryos also, there are certain chromosomal problems which could be there. So nowadays, to improve and to know what might be the cause, there has been other technologies which have come up. So earlier only one technology, if patient had a lot of IVF failures, we used to tell blast transfers. Now we have moved on from blast transfers also, and we can know what is the quality of the embryo, what is the chromosomal pattern, chromosomal growth inside the embryo. Growth means what is the genetic content, what will be the growth of the embryo. So those technologies have come up like PGD and PGS, which will tell us whether this embryo will grow or not and what will be the quality of the embryo. So these things have come up for embryos, and then those embryos will be frozen, and only the good embryos whose karyotyping, whose chromosomal analysis comes normal will be transferred in the next cycle. So this is one treatment of recurrent implantation failure. If we actually get to know that yes, embryo, we might know that embryo is the cause. Now second thing is uterus. Now uterus is basically the endometrial lining has to be very good, and there is a particular window. Many times when the IVF, everything is good, we have told the patient that you have been transferred 4 AA embryos and grade A embryos, and lining is very good, hormonal status is very good, and then also IVF fails. So many a times for a reproductive clinician, it is a challenging task to know the window of implantation. And that is one thing which we usually assess only with the ultrasound. We have certain criteria, that what is the thickness of the endometrial lining and what is the blood flow in the endometrial lining, that tell us that what is the endometrial receptivity. But then also sometimes you are not able to assess. So there were a lot of tests which has been done, and one has been recognized. One is endometrial receptive array. Now, in some patients, when we are not able to know the exact window of implantation, we can opt for ERA test. But there could be other things also in uterus which might be hampering the implantation. So it could be a thin endometrium, it could be a polyp in endometrium, or it could be certain adhesions in the endometrium, or it could be a small myoma which is indenting the endometrial lining. And in order to correct it, we many a times advise hysteroscopy. And so hysteroscopy is a very important and easily available tool which are many a times used by IVF specialists in patients who had earlier IVF failures. And even nowadays, if the lining is very thin and every time the endometrial lining is not being formed, because ultimately the embryo has to implant in that environment only. So we are doing PRPs, we are doing hysteroscopic PRP injections also, so that the receptivity increases. But there could be other causes in endometrium also. One is immunological cause. When, see, like any transplant or anything which has come foreign to our body, even embryo is foreign to this endometrium of the woman. So we have certain cells which might be acting against it, or it might be acting against certain blood vessels. So at times when there has been recurrent implantation failures, then we do get many tests for the women, for the wife done, and we also start certain medicines so that this immunological factors can be dealt with. So the test could be APLA syndrome, it could be anti-nuclear antibodies, TNF alpha, and in APLA there are a lot of other cells like beta-2 glycoprotein, cardiolipin antibodies. So these tests are nowadays done in order to see, yes, if there has been certain immunological factor because of which the embryo is not being accepted by the women body, and if we get it, we can, and actually we give it even without testing. But yes, a documentation is always helpful. So we start with ecosprin, we start with steroids, we give TNF, we give enoxaparin, and sometimes we might have to add intralipids. So these are other factors with which we try to improve implantation. Now, next is definitely, as embryo is made up of two genetic, one is mother cells and one is father cells. Now, karyotyping is the next test which we get it done for both couples, both the partners. But here I would like to give a special emphasis on the sperm. Why? Because sometimes you see that sperm quality is always good, the numbers are good, the motility is good, but then also the pregnancy is not happening, or sometimes pregnancy happens but the embryo is not growing. Either it's a missed abortion, it's a sac but you don't get a node, it is blighted ovum. So in these cases, sperms should be tested. And in sperms, not only the semen analysis which we are normally doing, there is something called DFI, which tests the oxidative stress of the sperm. And it has been really found is the alcohol and smoking should be stopped or at least decreased, and give certain antioxidants. And we repeat the DFI after say 3 to 6 months, and the success rate really improves. So basically when there is the sperm and the egg are is about to make embryo, it is not only the quality of egg, but sperm factor is also one major factor for giving us a healthy live pregnancy. So I have told you broadly that recurrent implantation failure is very common, and apart from all this, sometimes everything is normal. Sometimes everything is normal. Even if we are doing all these tests, it is not necessary that we'll get something positive. But actually, sometimes even after not getting a lot of results, we have to go ahead with a different protocol. Only maybe somewhere, like earlier IVF cycle, it was followed some other protocol. We might just change our protocol. It was done antagon cycle, we might just do a down regulated cycle. Or sometimes everything is normal, then we might just give a natural cycle protocol, give minimal medicines. So don't get disheartened after recurrent implantation failure or any after IVF failure, 1 or 2 cycles. There is a hope, and we have a lot of other things to do and help you out. So you can come to World IVF Center and we'll give you our best advice. If you have any questions, please do let me know, and I can just answer your questions. And I hope I have tried to tell you briefly all I wanted you to tell, or I wanted to tell you. Are there any questions? No. Thank you. So see you next time, and please do message us any queries. You can anytime contact our numbers which are available, and get an appointment for me or Dr. Bindu. Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting you, and thank you for joining us.